Peace, family. This is Asmer Bilal, host here at Secure Tomorrows, where we talk about what happens after the lights, after the cheers, and how athletes build real legacy outside of the game. Today's guest, he's that dude, Notre Dame captain, Super Bowl champion for the Chiefs, an NFL leader on the field and off the field, a husband, a father, a man of conviction. From Fort Wayne to South Bend, Indiana, from the 4th round to now calling the defense for a powerhouse NFL team. This brother, he's the walking proof that belief plus blueprint equals impact, right? Today, the one and only, my brethren, Drue Tranquil. Pleasure to have you. All right, brother, welcome to Secure Tomorrows.
I'm happy to be here, man.
Right.
Hey, it was about 7 years ago this weekend that you were standing next to me for my wedding day.
Oh, wow. Happy anniversary.
I know. Big weekend.
Big time, big time.
But thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure, man. Glad to have you. I know we originally started off at the University of Notre Dame. Now we're here in Cali. We spent some time here too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, a little bit of time with the Chargers, but yeah, we were teammates for multiple years there in South Bend and developed a good friendship. And you've been a good buddy of mine ever since. And we got to be teammates for a little bit in the NFL, but we know how the NFL goes. It's here today, and it's gone tomorrow. And so, yeah, but it's good to see you again, friend.
Yeah, likewise, man. So give thanks for actually joining on, right? So let's take it back to the Notre Dame days. Was your hopes always to make it to the league? Was that why you chose Notre Dame?
Maybe I'll even rewind just a little bit more to high school because I think it'll give context to the listeners. I knew I wanted to play sports at some level. I thought that was going to be professional baseball because you could go from high school and then just play professionally. And so that was my goal. I ended up around my junior year of high school realizing that I actually loved the game of football more. And so follow your passions. I followed mine. At the time, I didn't have any scholarships. I wasn't a big recruit like you were, man. 4 or 5 star out of Indianapolis. We were playing up in Northeast Indiana in Fort Wayne. But I was lucky to connect with a place called AWP, and I started doing some camps and got recruited and ultimately ended up at Notre Dame. But my goal between that junior year of high school and really my time at Notre Dame was to get a college scholarship. Like I wasn't really even thinking about the NFL. I knew that if I could get a full ride scholarship to pay for my school and set myself up with a degree from a university like Notre Dame, I could secure tomorrow. And so that was kind of the goal initially. The NFL wasn't even in the cards at the time.
Really? Just a scholarship?
Yeah.
Okay. And then who were you kind of balancing between? Like was Notre Dame, was Notre Dame a team that you were hoping to always be on? Was this like your dream school or did you have one?
No, I rooted for Auburn growing up. Both my parents went to Auburn. I didn't like Notre Dame when I first moved to Indiana when I was 12. But I grew to love them, and as you know, there's something special about the place. And being there and having the opportunities that they provide is a truly special experience. And so it came down to Notre Dame and Purdue. It was tough because my now wife Jackie, she was going to go to Purdue, and I had to go through the decision-making process of, do I go to Purdue where the coach is telling me I'm going to start right away and it seemed more secure, or do I take a chance at a school like Notre Dame where nothing's really given to you? You got to go earn it. The talent pool is a little bit higher. They're getting recruits from all over the country, and I really felt like the Lord was calling me towards Notre Dame, so I made that decision and never looked back.
Never looked back. Wow. So speak on that a little bit. I know you said the Lord kind of called you to it, but I mean, everything seems to kind of have pulled you, especially with Jackie, your wife, being at Purdue. It would only make sense to choose Purdue at that moment. Why choose Notre Dame over Purdue?
I don't know. I feel like in life you come to these forks in the road where it's like you've got decision A, you've got decision B, and you have to have a decision-making process. For me, that was consulting my parents at the time, my inner circle that I trust. You know, for me now, that's confiding in my wife, that's talking to my parents, my close friends. And then I'm a man of faith, so it was a lot of prayer for me. It was in taking intentional action. It was going to Notre Dame, going to Purdue, so that I could, have information to make the decision. And so I took a few trips to Notre Dame, took a few trips to Purdue as I was finalizing that decision. But I think that having that decision-making process in place when you come to those forks in the road is important to have, because one wrong turn off the path, man, that can derail a lot of momentum. That
Truly.
can take you in a direction you don't want to go.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
And now we're here.
Yeah.
Right. So any derailment, right, could have took you off, and we couldn't possibly be here. I mean, we're Super Bowl champion, right, with the Chiefs. So I'm sure we'll get to that. But yeah, let's talk about that. So Notre Dame, you chose Notre Dame, right? You was an engineer major.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you was a baller indeed. What was your position coming into Notre Dame?
So
let's rewind it. What was your position in high school?
Yeah.
And then talk about your position at Notre Dame.
Well, that was a little bit of the problem, is the coaches didn't know what exactly I would play. I was kind of the athlete, quote unquote, as they'll do on some of the recruiting sites. I played offense, I played defense, I returned kicks. And so I kind of did everything for my high school, and at Notre Dame, obviously, one of the top schools in the country, I wasn't going to be doing that. And so they were trying to figure out, was I going to be on offense or defense? Ultimately, they brought me in as a safety, and I started there, and then obviously I transitioned to linebacker somewhere along the road, my third or fourth year.
Yeah, so okay. So you was a skill guy. You was a Travis Scott. You did it all at the high school level. Then you came to Notre Dame.
Yeah, I guess jack of all
Had to pick a
trades,
side.
jack of all trades, master of none at the time. But I just loved the game of football, and honestly, Coach Kelly was like, "This guy's just a great athlete. Let's get him in here and give him a chance." And obviously, there were some ups and downs, but yeah, here we are.
Yeah, truly, and indeed a great athlete. All right, so let's speak on that. Right, we know that you ended up getting drafted. Right, that was the goal. You wanted to make it out in that regard. But talk about this. We know you did go through some adversity as well.
Yeah.
Right, so you had some knee injuries at the University of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So if you could just speak on that and how that just changed your mind and how you were able to bounce back from those injuries.
Yeah, it's a great point, because the whole journey at Notre Dame was not smooth by any regards. It wasn't just this ascent that people can probably look at somebody hoisting a Lombardi trophy and think about. There was actually some really, really dark moments, and it started my freshman year there. I came in, actually ended up earning a starting job by the end of that season, and playing Lamar Action Jackson. Went to make a tackle on him, and went low, and then at the bottom of the pile, somebody kind of fell on my knee, and I felt something, went to the sideline, and ended up being, they were like, "I think you're okay, you look stable," went back in, and the next day after some MRIs, realized that I had torn my ACL. And so this was like the first major obstacle injury. As an athlete, injury is like the thing you were trying to avoid, like the thing that can derail your career. And that was a really difficult moment. But to make matters worse, I came back, had a great rehab, great recovery with the training staff there, and was starting, playing well my sophomore season, and having probably the best game of my career so far. I had like 7 tackles in the first half against Navy, made a great pass breakup down the sideline as time was expiring in the second quarter there going into halftime, and then my teammate Joe Schmidt runs, and I actually jumped to celebrate with him and come down and end up and tear my other ACL. And so that was probably the lowest point of my time at Notre Dame, because I had just worked so hard and felt like I deserved the work I guess I had put in, and the outcome didn't match my expectations. I just was going to have to undergo my second major surgery within the span of 8 months.
Right.
And whether that's injuries or just circumstances in life that are out of our control, I feel like at some point we're going to encounter something where the outcome doesn't match what we feel like we deserved or we feel like we earned. And for me, that came early in my career at Notre Dame.
Yeah, for sure. And just speak on your mindset in that moment, right? I'm sure it was devastating to have back-to-back years of a knee injury back-to-back, right? What was your mindset at? And I mean, ultimately, how did you get back from that? How were you able to bounce back?
It's a good question. My first knee injury, it's cool because you were with me in all this, so I think you know a little bit, but maybe to give the listeners a little context, my first knee injury, it was, like I said, the first obstacle I had really encountered in ball. And so it was almost like this attack mindset, like, okay, I'm gonna set the doubters aside, like I'm gonna overcome this, I'm gonna get back. And then that second one, it was harder for me because I felt like I had done that. I had come back in a really, really fast timetable. I was strong. I felt like I had gotten back to where I was pre, first ACL. And then to tear that second one, I remember like being in my dorm room that weekend and just like crying to my girlfriend, now wife at the time, Jackie. And it was a dark, dark week. Like it wasn't as quick to like snap back and get on the saddle. But ultimately, I was like, I had to face the fact that this was the hand I was dealt, and all I could control in that moment was my attitude and my response. Like I couldn't control what had just happened to me, and I felt like the biggest thing in that moment was I started like getting inputs and like reading things like, oh, this guy had such a promising career, and he'll be remembered as a guy who tore his knee celebrating, and like once I realized that like those inputs were not the inputs I needed. And like I needed to focus on like what I could control. I felt like that's when my second recovery really started to accelerate, and I kind of recaptured that mindset that I had with the first knee of like, okay, I'm going to overcome this. The doubters, they can get out of the way. Like I have a vision, I have a mission, and I'm on it. And I got my faith, I got my family, I got my teammates, and I'm gonna go get this thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if. I think the people that know you personally know the strong mindset that you have, right? So kind of speak on this. I know for you, you got me my first adult Bible. Got my name sketched in it and everything, right? So I know faith is huge for you, right? We've had a lot of conversations just conversing about faith. And then also I know that E.T., that was your guy, right? So how important was your faith, E.T., just in the ability to fortify your mind just to be able to come back to these things? Because I think there's actionable things that you had, right? You had the Lord to rely on. You also had motivation that you utilize as well. So what were some of those things for you that helped you, right, really get your mind back in the proper place?
Well, I think we're talking about mindset, like, right? Like what's our mindset coming back from injury? What's our mindset and just how we approach the day-to-day life? And I feel like our mind, like anything, like muscles, is formed over time through exercise and through inputs. And so for me, what were those inputs? Like what were the inputs I felt like I needed to have the right mindset? For me, it was like reading my Bible, like staying solid in my faith, staying solid in my convictions. Like that was even my number 23, like Psalms 23, like that was my favorite like verse. And like even in those dark times, like even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Like you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemy. And so maybe all your listeners like don't have a faith background. That's cool. For me, like that was my worldview, that was my outlook, and that gave me a lot of hope in those moments. Similarly, it was like cutting out the negative inputs and listening to guys like E.T., listening to guys like, my dad, my wife, and my friends like you who were going to encourage me in those moments. Because if you read the wrong inputs and you listen to the wrong inputs, it can really shape your mind and your mindset in a way that you don't want to do.
Yeah, truly, for sure. Right, so I think that's huge, the input and also the elimination process as well of taking out the bad noise. But great, right? So we went through the bad, right? And you pushed through and you came back. You was a 2-time captain at the University of Notre Dame, and you were drafted as well, and I was with you on that draft day, right? So congratulations for that.
Thanks.
Right, speak about draft day, right? How much did that mean to not only you, but also your family on that day?
Well, it meant a lot. I was the oldest of 5 siblings, and to be the first one to go through that process and to be able to accept a call from an NFL team and know that like they wanted me and I was going to have a spot to go earn my spot at a camp was special. Obviously, that weekend didn't go the way I'd planned it. I had ordered a ton of Buffalo Wild Wings and had a celebration on night 2, thinking I was going to maybe go in the 2nd or 3rd round. Ended up going in the 4th round, but it was the plan God had for me, and I was so happy for those 4 years I had out with the LA Chargers, and got to cross paths with you again, and it was a life-changing moment for my wife and I.
Yeah, for sure. Right, so it was big time, right? You were able to manifest the dream that you had in high school, as we can see from the progression of what we've been speaking about, right? So high school, and now you were able to make it professionally. But a lot of what we talk about on the show is securing your tomorrows.
Yeah.
Right, so we get to the numbers, right? So let's get to it. So you actually were drafted, so you were drafted the 4th round. What was your signing bonus?
My signing bonus was around $650,000.
$650,000.
But after tax.
After
tax.
Gotta include that, huh?
Yeah, the California tax was steep, and that puts you in the highest federal bracket. So you can cut it all every time. And I tell people this all the time because the statistic is like the average lifespan of a player in the NFL is like 3 years.
Yep.
And I don't mean to minimize this because people are right. Like, you are blessed, like with what you're making, like that is like very, very good money. But you look at a rookie contract of like $3 million, $4 million over 4 years, you can slash that in half because after taxes, that athlete is bringing home, anywhere from 2 to 2.5 million of that, and based on like the lifestyle and expense of having to move between cities in the off season, like it goes fast, man. And so that you sign it and you're like, wow, this is awesome, and then expenses happen. You have to move. My wife and I, my wife was 38 weeks pregnant, so like we had those costs. We were welcoming a child into the world, and so it goes fast, I guess is the point.
So let's speak on that. So you got the 650 signing bonus. What was one of your first purchases that you made when you actually got that deposited?
Well, our first purchase, and the money actually had not quite hit my account yet, so I had to take a forward from my agency. But my wife and I, as soon as we found out we were going to be playing out here in LA, like I said, she was 36 weeks pregnant when we got that call with our son, who's now 6, Elijah, and we had to get out here. We had to figure it out. We were at an apartment there in South Bend. We packed it up. I had 2 of my buddies drive the U-Haul out. We took a flight out here and had to find a place. So my first purchase was a down payment on a 3-bedroom apartment here in Irvine, California.
Okay.
2 months rent, all the expenses about $10,000. That initial shot. So
Indiana to Cali.
Indiana to Cali.
Okay, so perfect. So a lot of what we talk about on the show is securing your tomorrows, even financially for active players. Is what are you doing proactively while you're playing and you're receiving these NFL checks to make sure that once the game is over, we still have a good cushion. We still have a proper plan, an action plan to make sure that we can continue on with the finances. Because you hear a lot of times NFL athletes, once it's over, they go broke, right? So for you, what kind of financial, do you feel like you were given great financial education or proper planning entering into the league, either from the organization itself or just like mentors to be able to help you out?
Well, they certainly had rookie orientation programs. I'll give Arthur Hightower a shout out. Like they had good programs, and the NFL is trying to do a better job at educating the rookies coming in. You're taking a 20, 21, 22-year-old kid and giving them, in some cases, millions of dollars in situations where they've never managed money before in their life. And so they have to figure that out. A lot of times, sometimes you have friends who might ask for favors, family who might ask for favors, and so all your information is public. And so it's a very unique situation to be in. And it's tough because you're a young kid at the time. I felt like there were great resources there, but honestly, I feel like not even like talking about like education to point to that. It's like, do we do a good enough job teaching our kids in high school and in junior high? Like, do we have educational stuff about like finances? It seems like we had a couple like electives in high school where we could take it and actually like learn how to make a budget and learn how to like what investing actually was and learn to like manage our money. But outside of a general like elective like that, there's not much of that. And so you have to really take matters into your own hands, educate yourself, find resources, find people you can trust. And so you talk about, for me, when the money hit the account, like one of the things like I'll stress to young guys is like you have to find a team of people that you can trust, that you can believe in, because at the end of the day, you want to put a majority of your energy into what got you there, which is your training, which is your football technique and your skill. Like you don't want to like now have to go like in 2 different directions with your attention. You still want to be able to go full gung-ho at football, but you have to have people in your corner that you trust to help you with your finances, to help you with those other decisions. Right,
exactly. And honestly, the coaches, I want to say Gus Bradley would tell us that. Keep the main thing, because that's the focus, right? You're a professional athlete. If you're too focused on finances and finding how do I invest this or invest that, right? Your focus is divided. So how exactly for you, how were you able to come up with the proper team to be able to manage your money and help you financially?
Well, I signed with a group called Rise Sports Advisors, who a mentor of mine, Mike Lito, was running. And Mike and I go back to our days at AWP, but that was my initial team, was like these guys and gals were helping me formulate decisions surrounding my brand, surrounding my financial decisions, surrounding my investments. And, I was able to meet different people through them, different people doing alternative investments in the space of real estate, which I was interested in. Yeah. And so we did a lot of discovery meetings about identifying, what was I passionate about, what were areas that I wanted to put my money in, and figuring out ways to not just have my money sitting in the bank, where we see the environment right now where it's just like inflation is killing dollars that are just sitting there idle. And so we tried to figure out ways to get my money into assets where, it could keep up with the environment that we're seeing.
Yeah, for sure. And I know for you helped me out a ton. I know when I made it to the Chargers and I started receiving money, I'm like, dang, bro, I need help and assistance. Actually, Jackie's brother was the one that helped me come up with a budget plan and helped me invest my money in different buckets as well. So yeah, it's truthfully, it's super important to make sure that you have someone to be able to help you and guide you with that finance, because it can go that.
Well, if you don't have a plan, quick. You talked about a plan, like him helping you have a plan. If you don't have a plan, like, you're just wandering.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going anywhere with intention. And it's like, if you can't say like, hey, like my family or myself, like I'm financially, the dollars that are coming in, and I say this with a grain of salt because there are so many people here in America that are living paycheck to paycheck, and maybe they don't even have 1% of their paycheck that they can put towards tomorrow. Yeah. Maybe a lot of it's going towards today. But like, even a plan of like, what's my plan to maybe get to be able to have 1%, 5% to put back? Like, are you thinking through those things? Like, I don't know. I think you should be.
Right.
And I think especially the guys and gals we're maybe talking to and the people listening to this show who are athletes or former athletes or retired athletes, like what's your plan? Like, are you just idly wandering, or do you like actually have people around you that are challenging you with thoughts? Are you just spending time scrolling on your phone and like taking in all these inputs that really don't matter? Or are you thinking critically through like what legacy you want to leave in life and actionable steps you can take now to ensure that happens tomorrow? I don't know.
For sure, right?
Yeah.
Plan your work and work your plan.
Yeah, that's a good.
For
Say that again. Plan your work
and work your plan.
I like that.
Yeah, so that's solid.
That'll preach.
But cool, man. So as you know, for me, so I moved into the insurance space, life insurance, right? Making sure that, of course, on the darkest day, there's money paying out to protect assets and generate wealth in that instance. I know I reached out to you and you set up a life insurance plan for you and your family. Yeah. Why was it important for you to set up a life insurance plan?
Well, I think we talk about, if we want to talk about life insurance, we're talking about somebody's portfolio, right? And life insurance is a part of that portfolio. Right. And the people I ended up going with in the life insurance space, they managed some of our money, and they had this really interesting fact, which I was like, I was astounded by this, but the largest holders of life insurance, and you'll have to check me on this, are actually the big banks. And I found that so like interesting. I'm like, why would the big banks, the people who like probably know the most about money in life, why are they the biggest holders of life insurance? That must mean that life insurance is like extremely valuable and should be part of your portfolio. Indeed. And so for us, like we definitely want to have this as part of our portfolio. And obviously, as you know, working in the space, there's multiple ways you can go: term, universal, how long. And so you have to evaluate what works for you and what builds best into your plan, but certainly it's part of our portfolio.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so definitely, I know you. How many children? 3?
We have 3.
3.
We have 3. Hopefully some more. You never know.
For sure, right? So got to protect their tomorrows as well, right? So that's big time. But let's speak on this. A lot of what I talk about on the episode as well is the athlete behind the helmet.
Yeah.
Right? We're not like baseball players or basketball players where they see our face.
Yeah.
We're that superhero. That's the, Superman, but they don't get to know the Clark Kent. Yeah. Right. Who was the man behind the helmet? Right. So let's hit on some of this. What are some of your hobbies or things that you like to do outside of the game of ball?
It's a great point to raise, because you get known in the public sphere for what you do on the field, but a majority of your life, and honestly what matters most to you a lot of times, is off the field. And that's no different for me. My wife and my kids and my family and my friends. Like, you want to talk about leaving a legacy, you can leave a legacy in sports, and that's great, and you'll be celebrated for it. But I think what matters more is like, what are you doing inside the walls of your community and inside, like, what impact are you leaving on people? And a lot of that is done outside the lines. Some more lighthearted hobbies that I have. I love to play chess. I think it's a super fun game. I love to snow ski. I love to surf. I love to like go to amusement parks with like my son. We just went to a water park, actually, just Jackie and I, just adults. We were just riding water slides this past week. It was so fun. But yeah, just like to be outside. Like to hang out with my buddies.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, there's a lot behind each athlete, and it's difficult. I mean, at the end of the day, we're entertainers. Like, people want to see us play football in this case. They want to see us play basketball. They want to see us, run at the Olympics. But there is certainly a lot more to each side of the athlete.
Yeah, no doubt. Right, so spending time. It sounds like you're outdoorsy, right? So I know your residency, you have a home in California, right? So surfing, getting outdoors, that's kind of like your speed.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I came to LA, I was like, I'm not coming out here on a 4-year contract and not at least trying to surf.
Yeah.
And honestly, one of our friends, Alohi, who I'm sure I think is going to be a guest. I don't want to spoil anything for the audience, but might be another guest on another episode. He got me into it, obviously, a Hawaiian native. And man, it was so awesome. Like, because I didn't know how to surf, and I would go with him, and he was so good, and I just wasn't. But it was so fun, and yeah, it's a good hobby.
Yeah.
It's challenging. It's challenging.
Let me ask you this. I know one of your this is your brother-in-law now. Right.
Yeah.
I know he likes to jump out of planes. Is that something that
Hey,
maybe we shouldn't discuss?
Hey, if you start jumping out of planes, your life insurance premium is going to be a little bit higher.
Yeah,
it's going to be a lot higher.
That's one of the health questions for sure.
Do you skydive? I do not skydive, but I do know people that do. I don't want my premiums to. I'm trying to keep my premiums down as much. I want my premiums as low as possible.
For sure. Yeah, brother. But one of the questions, my theme question that I ask every guest is, are you ready for when, if when was tomorrow? Right, so if tomorrow was the last day of you strapping up, do you feel like you would be ready? And if so, what do you think you will be able to do next?
Well, I'll go back to I feel like a little bit of maybe a golden thread that I've been talking about, but like having a plan. One of the plans we've baked into Jackie and I's financial plan is like having that gap year. So setting aside whatever we think we need expense-wise in a year in our plan, so that we're planning for whenever that year does come, we've set aside a year worth of expenses to figure out what exactly the Lord is calling us to next. And so that's part of our plan, is like, hey, we don't necessarily know when that day is going to come, that my career is going to end. God willing, it's me going out on my own terms and saying, hey, I'm going to start this next chapter of my life. I have irons in the fire of what I might want to do next, but we've built in a year of savings that we'll be able to rely on as we navigate those decisions.
Okay, good deal.
Well, I guess I'm interested in you, and I know you're the host of this show, but I'm a guest. But like that process has played out for you. So like, what was that like, going from your career ending to then ending up in the insurance space? Did you know that was the space you wanted to get into, or was it kind of something that just naturally happened?
Yeah, for sure. Right. So for me, it wasn't something that honestly, it did kind of just naturally happen. So a mentor of mine, strength and conditioning coach of both of ours, David Grimes, was telling me about life insurance. And he was telling me to get life insurance, utilize the cash value, and he was telling me the different things that you can do with it. And as I was learning about the product and going to acquire some, right, Sean Crawford connected me with the guy that I could get it from, and he was telling me at that moment in time, hey, while you're trying to get life insurance and you're not on a team currently, how about you work with us while you're still working out and trying to land on a team? And that's what I did. So as I was actively training and trying to land back on the team, I was selling life insurance. And then that's kind of how it stuck. And then I understood the career of it and how you can make a great living and career out of it. And that's kind of how I transitioned into the life insurance space. Right. So now my aim and goal is to help others, because a lot of what we highlight is, when the game stops, right? Because if an injury happens, you kind of understand my story. Injuries happens, or maybe you just get waived and now the game is over. You've invested perhaps 10, 15 years, depending on when you started, in the game of football or the game of sport. And now that it's over, a lot of athletes don't really know how to navigate that space, right? So for me, it kind of just, it fell in my lap. But of course, a lot of athletes struggle or perhaps even brokenhearted and don't really know what to do next. So that's why I use my platform to be able to help bring in some guys, be able to help develop, cultivate, and help them to understand that you can leverage these same skill sets that you learned in sports and utilize them in a business and make a great career from it.
What's a great point you bring up is you were like, I was able to learn and start learning about life insurance while I was playing. I think that's super important for anybody, male, female, whatever sport you play. Like, we know that's not forever, and some sports are shorter than others. And so, like, in your off seasons, use them wisely. And for guys, that looks differently. Like for you, who wasn't married and didn't have kids, like your bandwidth for like probably doing other things was higher than mine. That didn't mean that I couldn't explore other things like real estate, like coaching, like teaching, and other areas that I'm interested in. I just had to obviously set aside time for my wife and kids, but it's super important for obviously anybody listening to like be planning for that next step. You never know when.
Yeah, plan your work and work your plan.
That'll preach, like I said.
That's the code. But also another one, right, and not to digress, one question I do always ask the guests is, right, for the youth that's listening, because of course they want to be in your shoes, right? They want to be the athlete that's active, that's a captain for Notre Dame and a Super Bowl champion and playing professionally, right? That's a dream or aspiration for a lot of the youth. If you could just give them, what's the secret sauce or what's the blueprint to get in the position that you're in?
I mean, I don't know that I have the blueprint. I know that one thing I would tell any young kid is like, build discipline in your life at an early age. And it's really hard now because there's a lot of distractions out there. You can have a world at your fingertips that you can just divulge into, like, but build discipline. And it can be something as simple as like making your bed when you wake up in the morning, or like maybe you have trouble having consistency, like in your workouts or your eating. Maybe your eating isn't good, like you're drinking soda or you're doing something that you want to stop. Like, start with small things and like build the habits of discipline. One of the guys, I read some of his books. He was a former Navy SEAL, Jocko Willink, wrote a book. And one of his philosophies and one of the things that he said was like, discipline equals freedom. And like when we think of discipline, sometimes we think of like structure and boredom, and it's not that. Like when you can get your eggs in line in the places that matter most in your life, it gives you the flexibility to do the things you love. Like for me, like surfing, being able to spend time with my kids, being able to coach my son. And I know everybody's situation is different. Like for me, like God gave me the ability to play a sport. Now I did have to work and I had to have discipline. And if I didn't have discipline, there's no chance I would be in the shoes I am today with the things I've endured, the knees and the ankle injuries. But I'd tell every young kid, like, find a way to be disciplined. And if you can do that, you've got a great chance of success.
Yeah, that's huge. Well, all right, Trank. Well, give thanks for hopping on.
Give thanks.
Right, that's a great game. It's a lot of good gems, right, that you just covered. So appreciate you hopping on. Man, it was a pleasure to see you.
Well, thanks for doing this for all the young listeners and even all the listeners in our spaces. Like, especially retiring from sports is very, very difficult. Like, you can go and read countless stories. And so to have a space like this where you're having conversations with guys and gals who maybe haven't gone through that yet, or maybe they have, and being able to conversate with one another about what that looks like, I think is inspiring. And so keep it up, brother, man. Good to see you.
Thanks, brother. Likewise.
All right. Dude, that crushed, man. That was awesome.
Nothing's gonna stop me. Nothing's gonna stop me.